Okay, hey, how's everyone doing tonight? E pluribus otap, out of many me. I am America, and you can be too. This story hit KFOR TV, Channel 4 in Oklahoma City today. Chris Ledbetter has been sentenced to prison time, federal prison, going to Club Fed, y'all. And for those of you that remember this guy, earlier this year in the May-June time frame, he was in the local news. He was on social media. He was on the YouTubes doing all kinds of things that eventually led to a massive raid of his home / compound, if you will, ranch perhaps in McLeod, Oklahoma. It was a joint operation between the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, the FBI, the ATF, and they were looking for weaponry because they had reason to suspect that Mr. Ledbetter was in possession of illegal, aka unlicensed, full auto firearms, machine guns, assault weapons, if you will. And this is because he had been rather, making a number of appearances with an AK-47 rifle, which on a number of occasions he mentioned that it was a full auto weapon and that it was illegal, yet he did not care. And he was proud of the fact that he had an unlicensed, unregulated firearm. Particularly earlier this year, he was at a rally or a protest of some sort in Kansas where he had that rifle. It was open carrying up there, as is the law. But he was being interviewed by one of their local media, and he made those sort of comments as well to say, hey, look, I've got this machine gun. It's illegal, but I've got it. Nobody's going to do anything about it. So ha, ha, ha. And joke's on him. Somebody did do something about it. So anyway, let's just take a look here at the news story on the KFOR website, as well as what's on their Facebook page. And we'll go over some of the comments that people are making and talk about the issues at play here. So let's see. Okay, let's see. We've got some comments here for Aircraft Spark. Yeah, black guns matter. What was he raided for? Again, he was raided because of, initially the weapons charge. And they had a search warrant. They looked, they found the AK-47 in question. They found Molotov cocktails. They found hand grenades. But he also did some other things that I'll get into in just a moment. So let's see here. McLeod, Oklahoma, an Oklahoma Sons of Liberty member, has been sentenced to serve 57 months in federal prison for unlawful possession of a fully automatic machine gun. Now, Sons of Liberty is the name of the local militia group that he was involved in, and they engaged in some auditing activities, very similar to what our old friend Tim Harper is known for. Guys like Rick Hubbard, Tim Harper are known for audits, but they did some more provocative things than even the usual suspects when it comes to auditing, particularly in Guthrie, Oklahoma, earlier this year. And they would have interactions with law enforcement, but this guy basically had a bone to pick with the McLeod, Oklahoma Police Department. He believed that they were corrupt on a number of levels. He thought that there was some sort of child molestation ring involved. And at one point, he had video. This is one of those, militia guys where, they get the body armor and all of the accoutrements and they get kitted up. And, he had his ACH, he had his helmet, and he had a Rhino mount for a GoPro camera. And so there's footage of him and some of his fellow militia members, other Sons of Liberty, going inside the McLeod, Oklahoma police station, which is a crime. It's obviously very against the law, a violation of the Oklahoma Self-Defense Act. You cannot take firearms into government buildings. Any building that has a government office that does business with the public, it's against the law to take guns in there, licensed or not. And of course, this being 2020, this is post November 1st, 2019, constitutional carry or permitless carry has been in effect, and it is legal to carry long guns in public in Oklahoma. So that wasn't the concern. It's where he took them, and the fact that even if it is a long gun, it cannot be a fully auto unless you have the appropriate tax stamp from the government. So it talks about on the 4th of June, FBI agents in Oklahoma City discovered a fully automatic AK-47 style carbine machine gun in 29-year-old Christopher Ledbetter's vehicle. I like this verbiage, carbine machine gun. I think they're just having word vomit. That's what a lot of people do that are ignorant about firearms. They just throw a bunch of words together to make it seem like they know what they're talking about. Makes it sound scarier. But they also executed a search warrant at his residence, where agents located 2 homemade grenades and homemade Molotov cocktails and stolen firearms. Now, homemade Molotov cocktail, I think that's redundant. That's kind of implied that they'd be homemade. That's what a Molotov cocktail is. These are not things that are mass-produced in a factory on an assembly line. And stolen firearms, that's not good. You really shouldn't be stealing things, and definitely not stealing guns. So let's see here. We have a comment here from Deidre. Let's see, flattening the law and daring the government to not respond to con. Yes. Another comment from Aircraft Sparky. You can't have a full auto without a tax stamp if it is pre-ban. Correct. That's right. If you can get a pre-1986 fully automatic weapon, you don't have to have a tax stamp for it, but they are extremely rare and hard to come by and prohibitively expensive. But who knows? If you've got the money, why not? So that is the thing. Let's see, am I questioning the kind of rifle they found? No, I'm not questioning what they found. They found an AK-47, and they found his AK-47, the one that he had been on film bragging about. So there's no question about that. So it says here he was charged with unlawfully possessing a fully automatic machine gun, but family members said in June they believe the investigation stemmed from an alleged inappropriate action he took. He claims to have uncovered within the McLeod Police Department. This is going back to his conspiracy theories or ideas about uncovering all kinds of injustices within the McLeod Police Department. And this was his way about going about trying to bring these issues to light and bring them to justice. And that's really not the way to go about things, to be engaged in quasi-vigilante action. And before his YouTube channel was taken down, there were a number of videos of him not just filming himself committing crimes, but there was some stuff from not just him, but some of his other Sons of Liberty members before and even the day of the raid, where they would talk about how they're combat veterans and they're here to reclaim the country and they can't stand for these injustices and they must do something and they have to act, but taking the law into your own hands in that way is just not the way to go. So on June 26th, he pled guilty to possessing an automatic machine gun in violation of federal law. In court, Ledbetter's attorney argued that although he made threats, no actions were taken to justify a federal crime other than the weapon Ledbetter allegedly did not have the license for. So that's not even an argument on the part of a lawyer, saying there's no reason to justify being charged with a federal crime other than the federal crime you are guilty of. And, allegedly did not have the license for. It's not terribly difficult to determine if somebody has a tax stamp for, class 3 NFA items, fully auto item, machine guns, destructive devices, silencers, aka suppressors. These things have to be registered. There are forms you fill out with the ATF. There's a $200 tax stamp, but that's another issue. This is a tax, and if you willfully obtain one of these firearms or weapons without going through the proper channels to get that tax stamp, that is tax evasion. That thing that brought down Al Capone. So there's additional federal charges that go along with that. But the point here is they keep track of this stuff. There's a database. They know who has the NFA items. Not only that, but when you are the owner, possessor of a stamped item, you're basically giving up your Fourth Amendment rights. You are agreeing to be subject to search and inspection of your items at any time. You are stipulating that you will keep these things locked up in a safe and that you won't let people other than you possess them without your direct supervision. So there's a lot of trade-offs there. So saying allegedly, no, there's no allegedly to this. So Thursday, which is yesterday by my account, U.S. District Judge Charles B. Goodwin sentenced Ledbetter to 57 months in federal prison. 57 months, followed by 3 years of supervised release, otherwise known as probation. So, this is a guy that's, a gun enthusiast, obviously a Second Amendment supporter, but now he's going to have this federal crime, this felony on his record. He's no longer going to be allowed to legally possess any firearms whatsoever. And it's a shame that it's come to this. This is a guy that, in addition to filming these things that he's done and then posting them online. There was another video I remember where he was basically in a police chase. The police were following him. They had their lights on. He refuses to pull over. And, during all of this, he turns his camera on to record all of this. And then he makes a phone call to someone to tell them that, hey, the police are after me. I'm coming. Get the guns. So damning statements right there, and definitely not something that you would want to, again, post onto the YouTubes or the interwebs anywhere else. So 57 months in federal prison, going to Club Fed for 57 months, which really is getting off easy for the things that he was charged with and could have potentially been charged with. He could have been looking at decades in jail and hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines, just life-crushing penalties could have been heaped upon him. Another comment there. Fucking people are stupid. I'm not going to disagree with that assessment. And that's right, Deidre. No more guns for him. And here's another moral of the story. And we'll make reference to our friend, our comrade, Mr. Timothy Harper. He was recently he wasn't acquitted, but he did have his case dismissed regarding his incident from the November 2nd of last year at the Twin Peaks restaurant. And, moral of that story is it's not what they know, it's what they can prove. And if they had never found and gotten their hands on Mr. Ledbetter's firearm, his fully auto machine gun, then, there's no evidence. There's lack of evidence. And, it would be more similar to Mr. Harper's scenario where, the prosecution, they never had their hands on as evidence the firearm that he allegedly had that day. So, without that, they can't prove anything. And this brings up a point that I made earlier in another forum, that Amendments 4 and 5 are your friends. A full auto AK-47 to the naked eye from a distance looks like a semi-auto. And it also looks like, a CO2 powered BB gun air rifle version. But, unless you give someone probable cause to examine it further, or generally by opening your big stupid mouth, you're not going to have much to worry about. So that's a little thing to keep in mind. Let's see. Are you in New York? Comment from Dwayne Johnson. No, I am not in New York. All right, so here we are on the KFOR Facebook page. We're going to reload it here so that we can get the latest comments. And we'll go to all comments and drop down more, and we'll see what people have to say. We'll start at the bottom and kind of work our way up. Let's see. Somebody's freaking out. Oh, we have somebody here saying civil war is very possible. Don't underestimate. Well, that would be interesting. There are people here that are definitely Second Amendment supporters. We have this person here, Kevin McGaw, asking, how is it illegal to have a machine gun? Let's look at some of these comments here. Quickly, we've got the face palm. Another comment, really requires a federal license, as we mentioned. And yes, I commented there, possible to get one legally, but it'll cost you an extra $200 and all of your Fourth Amendment. And who knows how many weeks or months you're going to have to wait to get that tax stamp. Also, for those of you that live in the Oklahoma City area, if you are interested in such items, full auto firearms or suppressors, Oklahoma Machine Guns, co-located with Wilshire Gun in Oklahoma City, they can take care of that for you. And they are unique in that they allow what I like to call conjugal visits. While you are waiting for all of your paperwork to be processed and approved, they will let you spend quality time under supervision with your items, and then they will retain custody of them, and you can leave and go home and enjoy your life. And at some point when your paperwork goes through, they'll give you a call and you can go and pick up your goodies. So keep that in mind if those are some of the things you're interested in. Oklahoma Machine Guns, co-located with Wilshire Gun in Oklahoma City. So we have some people that say it shouldn't be a crime. So we had a machine gun, big whoop. And then we had one person ask, why is it, if, we can't have any gun laws, why can't we have, why can't 6-year-olds take guns to school? And, quite frankly, the answer to that is here in Oklahoma, the only reason is, a combination of state and federal law. We have the Oklahoma Self-Defense Act and how it works in conjunction with the federal Gun-Free School Zones Act of 1990, a little bit of legislation authored by our friend Joe Biden, Joseph R. Biden of Delaware. He wrote that, and then it was signed into law back in 1990. But, you have to have a handgun license issued by Oklahoma in order to be within 1,000 feet of a school in Oklahoma. So in Oklahoma, we don't issue handgun licenses generally to people under age 21. But if they were to somehow lower that age to 6 and a 6-year-old could, in fact, get a handgun license, well, then there wouldn't be anything to stop them from taking one to school. We have some persons here. Let's see, what do we have? Yeah, there it is. If guns can't be regulated, why can't 6-year-olds carry them? Then speaking of Tim Harper, there he is right there. Said, yes, they should be allowed to if their parents train them. And, that's an excellent point. Parental responsibility. That's a whole other tangent we could get off onto, talking about, the public school system and usurping parental authority. The question of who owns our children. Are they our children or do they belong to the state? Things of that nature. But we're not even going to get into that at this time. And let's see here. There's a link there to the Oklahoma Open Carry Association. Fine organization. Check them out. It's a great place to go, great resource for those that are interested in the ins and outs of the gun laws in Oklahoma. And let's see. Wouldn't be surprised if there were some pedos in that department. McLeod police are as crooked as they come. And says Sean D. King, he had hundreds of vids. I watched a lot of them. He documented up until the time he got picked up. Then all the videos magically disappeared. Well, the YouTube, they cooperate and collaborate and cooperate with law enforcement on these things. They got rid of his account. See, almost like state and county DOC officials use their resources to silence the agenda of their victims to forward their own. We need a new Frank Serpico, but I doubt that will ever happen due to how high the corruption has climbed. Well, again, there very well may be rampant corruption in the McLeod, Oklahoma Police Department, but Mr. Ledbetter chose a very inappropriate way to go about making his point and trying to bring that to light if that is the case. And, you can't try to get laws enforced by breaking other laws, particularly if they're serious felonies. And let's see here. Let's see. I don't think it's fair that I can't have a rocket launcher. What about my freedoms? And Tim Harper chimes in again. You should be able to own and possess one. It's what you do if it matters. And, I completely agree with that. That's kind of the original intent of Amendment 2, for we the people to be able to possess that which the government possesses, to have us on an equal playing field. You can't overthrow a tyrannical government if you don't have the tools of the trade, so to speak. But then again, we've seen insurgencies throughout history where grit and determination can do a lot. Just look at case study in Vietnam. Look at Afghanistan. Look at Iraq. Let's see. I think McNuke should be legal, shall not be infringed. I agree, Aircraft Sparky. In fact, you know what? Well, some of the things I like to say about you know, native sovereignty, you know, being a native sovereignty absolutist, is that, you know, these casinos that we have in this area between Texas and Kansas, if they are owned by Native American nations, if you will, and if they are so sovereign, then I don't have a problem with them running their casinos, operating them using slave labor, and being open 24/7. I don't have a problem with them having vending machines that sell meth and vodka and machine guns and diet soda, if that's what they want to do, because, you know, that's what sovereignty allows. It allows you to literally do whatever the hell you want on your dirt, and it's no business of any other nation state. But yeah, that is so not actually the case right now. So yeah, McNukes. You know, if McDonald's wants to branch into that, why not? Let's see here. How do you know he didn't talk to the media and it will be tomorrow's headline story? If he had evidence of wrongdoing by the police department, he could have gone to the DA or Attorney General. Have you seen any evidence? I guess you saw what he said on YouTube, but have you seen any hard physical evidence? Oh, that's a good point. Where is the hard physical evidence of these accusations that he was making? You know, all we have evidence of from these videos, you know, or we have, you know, wild statements in addition to him breaking various laws, which, again, it's just unfathomable to me that anyone would go out, break laws, record themselves doing it, and then post it for the world to see. Like, hey, I'm a criminal. I mean, you know, you don't rob a bank and then put the video of it. Another comment from Aircraft Sparky. Americans have no rights. SCOTUS pretty much agrees. Well, even with that, the things that we in America like to call rights aren't. You know, they're imaginary. They're make-believe. What we really have are a set of select special privileges that have been collectively agreed upon, that are more important than the rest of the privileges, and that has elevated them to the status of right. But, you know, they're make believe, and you only have the rights that you're able to defend and keep. And you very, very good point about the Supreme Court. This Supreme Court that we have had in recent years, I don't know. We're talking subversives. We're talking Manchurian candidates. I'm not sure what's going on, but they have been handing down some rulings that have been, you know, 5-4, which should have been, you know, 9-0 in favor of liberty and freedom in America. But we're talking things that are 5-4 against America. And it's again, it's mind-boggling. These are crazy days we're living in. So let's see here. Let's see. No, thank you, Princess. I don't take advice from random people on Facebook, but I appreciate your opinion. Before they deleted it all, you could look at the 700 videos he posted. He had a full documentary from the school cop getting removed from a cloud school of pedophile and the cover up to that and so much more. You know, I don't know about these 700 videos. At the time that I was able to access this stuff, there was a handful of videos, you know, well under 100, probably 50 at the most. And again, it was just mostly him ranting about things. And then on the day of the raid, there's another video from one of his Sons of Liberty compatriots, where he was, you know, basically at home in his, you know, on his farm or out in the rural area, and he was sitting on his porch drinking beer, wearing his body armor, just kind of sweating bullets, worried that they might be coming for him. And you could tell this guy was unhinged, and he was at the point of, you know, if law enforcement had shown up, we would probably have witnessed a live streamed shootout. Another one from Sparky there, full insurrection or complete dismantling of the nation. You know, I don't know about full dismantling, but I think we're long overdue for revision, you know, and a lot of people think that that's just insane, crazy talk, but there's historical precedent for it. It's like people didn't read a history book, like they don't know that the Articles of Confederation were ever a thing. And, you know, that was, you know, the foundational document of our government for some time. and that just wasn't working for a while, and we had to rehash, and that's where the Constitution came from. And again, it really wasn't designed for what we have now, for this expansive nation of 50 states and numerous territories and all of the vassal states in between. That would be the reservations, or as I like to call them, the game preserves, because that's basically what they are from the the arrogant standpoint of the federal government. But it's time to rework some things. It's time to understand that balkanization is over the horizon. There's so much disunity. There's so much infighting. It's like I said earlier today, come on, Americans, can we stop hating each other long enough to be the country that other countries think that we are? Let's be the country that Hong Kong thinks we are. When you see the Hong Kong protesters out there and marching in their streets with American flags, but you see protesters here in the United States with BLM flags and AIM flags and burning American flags and throwing them on the ground and wiping their asses with it, that there's something very wrong with that. And we are picking and choosing parts of the Constitution that we want to use. We're not acknowledging that the equal protection provisions of the 14th Amendment completely negate the 10th Amendment, which was a terrible idea in the first place, because you just can't have standards that way. And we need to really understand that effectively we are not one country. We are 50 countries that have basically a gentleman's agreement with one another to not go to war with each other. And that can only last so long, particularly with all the division and divisiveness and primitive regressive tribalism we're seeing these days. And, nobody, well, I'm not going to say nobody, but hardly anyone wants to stand up and put their foot down and be a responsible adult and say, hey, cut that crap out, people. Because you know what? There's a place I like to call the rest of Earth. The United States of America is not the whole planet. As much as I would like to see Manifest Destiny run its course and lead to the inevitability of planet America, we ain't there yet. There's still plenty of other real estate out there. There are plenty of other countries, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, what your background is, who your great-great-great-great-grandfather was, or whatever. When you go to one of those other places, you're the American, good or bad. That's all you are to them. And yet over here, we want to find the tiniest, nitpickiest things about each other to hate each other over and tear our own country down. It is ridiculous. It is childish. It is infantile. And again, we need people to step up, be responsible adults, put their foot down and say enough is enough. It gets back to, lack of spankings in schools for one thing, which is why we see, the rampant delinquency in our streets. There's an article recently about schools bringing back paddling. Absolutely in favor of it. If you need to spank your children when they're younger, so that the police don't have to do it for you when they're older. And when the police do it, sometimes they don't survive. Okay, and that's just how it is. And people want to cry about it and whine and not acknowledge reality, and they want to live with their heads up their asses in Narnia or whatever. It doesn't work that way, folks. So I don't even know where I'm at right now. I don't know what my rambling is about. I just got very worked up. But looks like Tim's joining us. Hope you're having a good evening, Mr. Harper. But like I was saying, when you are a U.S. citizen, and that's another thing, U.S. citizen and American are not the same thing. And we were at breakfast, the Reagan breakfast yesterday, where we went over the questions in the naturalization exam for those that want to become naturalized citizens, and the sort of things that people need to know about our country. And of course, these questions are in English and English alone, because English proficiency is a requirement of the naturalization process. And of course, once again, I am in favor of repealing the first sentence of the 14th Amendment to make either naturalization and or federal service the only means of achieving U.S. citizenship. We need, that is one of the essential reforms that we're going to have to put in place if we want our country to last. We are going to tear ourselves apart as long as we continue to let every nutcase with a pulse that had the sheer luck of the draw to have been born on America's dirt. So let them vote. It's absurd, especially when you think about how, the joke about the film Idiocracy, how it started out as a comedy or a parody, but now it's turning into a documentary. And it's like George Carlin likes to say, if you think about how stupid the average person is, and then you realize that half the people out there are stupider than that, it's really sobering. And the way our political system is set up right now, for the most part, it's a pure numbers game. Issues don't matter. Numbers matter. And that's it at the end of the day. And there are way more batshit crazy, ignorant, stupid, America-hating subversives out there that get to vote on stuff than there are sane, rational people that don't want to see everything in flames around them. So just do the math on that one and take a look at the trajectory and where that leads over the horizon. And you'll understand the dire situation we find ourselves in. Let's see. Be sure to comment with the ATF about pistol braces within the next 2 weeks. Yes, ATF pistol braces. They are the ATF. They're just taking it upon themselves to say, oh, well, pistol braces, they're not legal anymore. And of course, for those who have been following the issue with the P80s, the 80% lower kits for Glock handguns, but they have this now. This kit you can buy where they basically send you a box of every Make America a Federalist Society again. I don't know about that. I'm not really in favor of this. I am opposed to the folly of federalism. Federalism at the end of the day is going to lead it's going to lead to dissolution. It's going to lead to balkanization. We need across the board standards. So, maybe if we have federalist principles, liberty-minded principles, that would be a great thing. But, this federal republic stuff, it becomes untenable and cumbersome due to growth and expansion. And, you have regionalism, you have tribalism, and all of these things that are just against unity. We don't need these things. So that's my thoughts on that. So, there's a Tim Hopper quote there, say dumb things, get dumb prizes. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yep, there you go, Sparky. Pistol braces are the bump stocks of 2020. And, I remember when bump stocks were the thing. And again, this is a ridiculous thing to be banned outright. Yay, President Trump, for all of those people out there that think that President Donald J. Trump is just the greatest thing since sliced bread when it comes to the Second Amendment. Well, where are your bump stocks now? Other than the ones that were lost mysteriously in boating accidents. There's no legal justification for that. It does not alter the internals of a firearm. It doesn't turn them into a machine gun. It doesn't put an auto sear in there. It doesn't do anything. In fact, without a bump stock, you can simulate the same effects with a pencil, with a rubber band, with a belt loop on a pair of jeans. You don't even need the bump stock to make that happen. And, binary triggers, perfectly legal. And if you have a binary trigger and a fast finger, you're going to be having a rate of fire faster than what most people can get with bump stock. And it's just crazy that they're throwing out their own rules and regulations and laws. My goodness. You know what? I think, here's my theory, that upper management of the ATF now somehow were all formerly middle management in the active U.S. Army, people that are known for being a mutinous gang of thugs who disregard their own rules and regulations and have this crazy idea that you can add to but not take away from regulations or laws. And that's anarchy. That is no way for any society to function. So that's my theory on what's going on with the ATF right now. Little tongue-in-cheek joke. So the bottom line here is, even though they are changing some of these rules and laws on the fly. Well, I mean, they're not changing the laws because you only do that legislatively, but they're changing the way they're being interpreted and enforced. So even though they're doing that, well, the laws are still written down. And if you know what the law says, you're a lot less likely to break it. So know what the law says, follow it to the letter, and your chances are a lot better. Unless, of course, you have some rogue agency that doesn't care, in which case, let's just hope there's no more Beto O'Rourke's coming up on the radar soon, because they're right there saying that we're coming for your gun, we're coming for your AR-15 or whatever. And they're like so many other people. They've become emboldened that they don't hide it. They're not afraid. They're not ashamed. They're coming right out and letting you know what they feel, what they think, what they want to do. And it's good to get this out in the open. Many of us have known this inherently for a long time, or we've been in private situations where we'd hear people talk about it, but they never boldly proclaim it publicly. And that's what they're doing now. So we need to understand that there's just too much leniency when it comes to some of these things. And that's the problem with people wanting to say, well, we don't want to be seen as mean people, we don't want to be seen as racist, we don't want to affect people's liberties. But they affect people's liberties in so many other ways all the time. All right, well, that's going to be it. We're going to sign off. Support us on Patreon, patreon.otap.com. Those of you in the Oklahoma City area, if you like shooting things, particularly Glocks, there will be a Glock Shooting Sports Foundation match tomorrow morning at Big Boys Guns and Ammo in Mustang, Oklahoma. Registration starts at 09. Shooting begins at 1000. Bring a Glock, have a bunch of fun. If it's your first time shooting, unfortunately, you will not be eligible to win any of the prizes that they'll be giving out tomorrow. You have to shoot in 2 out of 3 of the series of monthly matches to be eligible for prizes. But tomorrow is the big day where they'll be raffling off a variety of items, as well as the reason we're always there, the free Glock of your choice. Can't beat that with a stick. I'm looking for a Glock 41 MOS. That's what's on my Christmas list. All right, that's it, folks. Have a great evening. And we're going to talk about wonderful gun stuff some more later. OTAP out.